Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 1-0 show. Second week running. We are ready. It's good vibes here. The Premier League is underway, and it's not just any special 1-0 show. Second week in a row, and we've got a guest already. So I was sitting watching TV the other night. I'm thinking, who can get me excited for the Premier League? I'm looking at him on the other screen now. I'm trying not to laugh because it's all good energy here. So, ladies and gentlemen, can we please welcome Claudes? Round of applause, round of applause. That's it. Nah, good. Thank you for joining me. Trust me, the crowd was going wild in the background. Just imagine it. Just imagine. So, for those of you who don't know, obviously present on Being Sports, present on Optus Sports, co-founder of I Want It Yesterday, which we'll touch on a bit as well. And overall, just big football fan. Obviously, rocking the River Plate kit. Might talk about a bit about kits as well, because I could see on your Instagram, love to rock some of the kits. So we'll chat about that. Before we do, you give me your Premier League predictions and all that stuff. Find out a bit more about you. So to start off with, for those who don't know you, who exactly is Claude? Why presenting? Who inspired you? Take it away.
Well, yeah, I guess I can connect to someone like you because you're right, mate. I'm a football fan really at heart. I played the game. I still continue to play the game, but I played the game at a relatively high level as a teenager.
Yep.
Here, a little bit in Germany, a little bit in the UK. I had a series of injuries and surgeries, which meant that I had to stop playing. I ended up replacing my hip. But I had many years out from the game, which meant I had to, I still had this passion for football, but it was hard to stay in love with the game. And I realized maybe I need something else to kind of use that passion because playing wasn't going to plan. So luckily I had a few friends around me. My own brother, who's 10 years older, was involved in media. Some of my good friends, they're involved in video, filming, all the rest. So we got together and I just kind of tried being in front of screen. I never studied it or anything. I just tried and thought, you know what, I'm a pretty confident guy. I do like storytelling. I have a passion for that type of stuff and I have a passion for football. So I guess I'll just give it a go. And I learned so much from the people that I was working around. And I guess that's where this career path took off from. And now I'm so glad that it all happened. It's like the most cliche thing ever, but everything happens for a reason. And it's true because if I didn't go through those tough years, I would have never tried media. But you mentioned who inspired me. And for me, it was a man by the name of Les Murray, because I think his story, being not even born in Australia, he moved over here, but what he did for Australian football was huge. And he had the respect of Aussies, the respect of migrants, like, Costa, I assume your family migrated here. My family migrated here. My name's Claudio Fabiano, my parents, having this merge of happiness, culture, celebration, everything that football's about inspired me to go and do this job. And I'm just starting.
Oh, awesome. No, like you said, finding that inspiration. Obviously, yeah, you're Italian. We saw from the Euros. Obviously, trying to be. I was going to say you're trying to be an unbiased presenter, but I do like how you kind of carried it and just said, "Dude, Italy's making the final. I'm going to celebrate it." So that was cool. But yeah, like I said, I'm Greek, so to have that sort of person like Les Murray was a little bit before my day, but to have that sort of character there for you to learn off and watch, even though he was probably a bit older, like way older than you as well, which is good. So I did mention before you've got I Want It Yesterday. I'm still fairly new to it. What can you tell us about that? You mentioned your brother was involved in media before. Has he been able to help you along the way?
So I actually am fortunate enough to go into business with my brother, and there's three of us that own the business. So myself, my brother, his name's Marcello, and Joey as well, all passionate football fans. And what we decided to do, we were all working in media separately. My brother's very much involved in the business side of media. He worked over in the UK for years with a few companies there, football clubs, FIFA World Cup campaigns. I am very much in front of the camera, and Joey, our third business partner, he's very much production and all about everything that you see in here, all the equipment, everything. It's all thanks to him, studio design and all the rest. So the three of us with very different walks of life, but at the same time, all very passionate about the game and know that the game in this country needs a lot of work. So we thought, let's team up together. Let's bring our strengths together and let's try and, I guess it's strength in numbers. Let's find more people like us. Go to Football Australia, go to the clubs, go to the Optuses, the Be-ins, the Channel 10s and Stan Sports and whoever else wants to get involved. And let's come at it with the angle that, yeah, we might not have all the glitz and glam of another company, but we have people in here every day which live and breathe the game. They consume this type of content on a daily basis. They know what needs to be said, what needs to be done. And it's quite niche, but at the same time, it's getting a lot of traction. And we're starting to bring in people from other sports and people with other passions. And the whole message is like, come in here, create content. We've got our own studios now in it. We've had it for about 6 months. create your content and just tell us what you're passionate about, and we'll try connect you to the people that need to meet you. So, we have some guys in here that are so passionate about Formula One. So
Yes.
we're now trying to connect them with the right brands and the right broadcasters. So it's just about promoting young talent like yourself, young guys, young presenters, young creators that I think up until this point have probably been overlooked, but thanks to YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, now they're really in the center and have a lot of power and a lot of potential.
Yeah, perfect. No, it was. I think like what you said, like how people like yourself and stuff were getting overlooked. Because I remember you from like the bra days and stuff, or little like memes and stuff you guys would make. Um, but like you said, like it almost felt like something here in Australia where because I'd previously done an interview with a guy from the UK who's sort of got similar role as you. He would pop up occasionally with the TV, would do his own presenting sort of stuff, but he wasn't probably as further into that as you are right now. And that's when I did do that, it made me think. I go, what is you see on someone like Fox Sports? It's often so many times it's the past players, or it's someone who's considerably older than someone like ourselves who's got that experience, maybe would have studied it. So I think what you're doing with your platform now is perfect, and you might not be able to share it, but like with you did mention you've got your own show and Be in Sports with another part of yours. Did you guys go towards them and say, like I think you mentioned it before, like this is what we've got, whether you want to take it on board, feel free, or did they come to you guys?
They actually came to us. So I think what is important, a lot of people ask me, how do you get started in this kind of industry? And I guess my story, my experience is that sometimes you got to do stuff for free. Sometimes you got to make things for yourself, and you got to just try, and eventually you're going to get noticed, but you got to keep the quality high with everything you do. And we started a page called Sportly on Instagram, Facebook, and all the rest, just talking A-League football, Australian football, W League, and some Australian players overseas. And we just thought, let's take the things that we're seeing in the Premier League and in European football, and let's make it for players here. Let's give them more of a limelight. Let's create cool skits, cool graphics, and all this type of stuff.
Yeah,
Socks and Slides was just a little show that we did early morning before work.
yeah,
Nobody paid us for it. It was out of our own pocket, out of our own time, but we did it. And it was a talk show, and we managed to pull some guests on similar to what you're doing here. And Bean saw it. And look, the whole pandemic and COVID has been terrible for everyone. However, what happened was there was no football on TV. Bean needed some content to fill, and they took a punt on this group of young guys that were making content in Sydney. And I guess we repaid the faith, put a few shows together. They liked it. A couple of brands liked it too, and then they signed us on to do a permanent show. So that's
yeah,
how it went.
yeah. No, yeah, no, perfect. Well, yeah, I think because I know we spoke a little bit before we did start recording, and like you said, just making stuff even is even just the way to go. Just keep on producing stuff, which obviously a lot of other people tell me as well. But really, because you technically have been in the social media game for ages now, for what it feels like. Because like I mentioned, the Brad days when you'll make all those old videos, which I remember even primary school, which might have been maybe a little bit early, but so it's obviously has been a while. And like you said, they came and picked you up. So credit to you guys for making a top quality show. So you'd mentioned it before, advice for young creators. If you want to put it a bit nicer to what I said, if you could give them one advice and maybe something that you've learnt on your path now, what exactly would that be?
It would definitely be to collaborate with each other, find as many like-minded people as you can, because there are a lot out there. And if you are a young creator, you might not be in front of camera like myself and you. There might be someone that you have a passion for filming, you have a passion for writing, you have a passion for design, for whatever it is. But if you're in the creative space, find similar people that have the same passion as you and collaborate, because we're young and we have time on our hands. So let's use that time instead of sitting in front of a TV screen watching a show, or I don't know, whatever you could be doing, scrolling,
Yeah,
get
yeah,
together with some friends and create stuff. And I think that's the most important thing, is like, once upon a time, media was only television, newspaper, and you needed to, unfortunately, media was a very cutthroat industry where people would step on each other to get to the top,
yeah,
and it's not like that anymore. And so that's what the new generation is coming through, because we have so many platforms to create on. It's all about, I'll collaborate with you. My followers see your followers. We grow together. It's all about growing together now.
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
actually really nice. The media space has changed a lot. So my advice is just, let's say you're passionate about football and you love creating content. Okay, that's two big things. Find other people who are also passionate about football and also like creating content, and do it together. You know, you do video content, maybe you meet someone who likes doing photography for football and you guys can do something cool together, and
Yeah.
others. And strength in numbers, man. Like the more people you can collaborate with, not only do you learn, but you guys all get better and get more exposure if you all do it together. So that's probably a big piece of advice. And the other one is, if there's anyone that you kind of look up to, or you want to know a little bit more and find out their advice and their secrets, just hit them up for a coffee. You'll be surprised how many people will be willing to meet, to share tips, or even if you want to go in and see how, I guess now we can't with lockdown, but if you wanted to see how a broadcaster films, I used to do that. Like I hit up Optus before I worked for them, and I went in and just watched one morning how they were all shooting and how the host would prepare, and you soak up things like that.
Oh,
For the
awesome. Oh, I mean, I forgot to say at the start, you obviously did host the Dolan Awards, the A League and the W League Awards as well, which like when I was watching that, I go, shit, that's almost a bucket list moment because you obviously mentioned you're an A League fan as well. You mentioned also before we get into the Premier League stuff, because I'm looking at my thing, it's just I was watching too many Manchester United videos this morning. I'm too excited, and I know you're a Chelsea man, if I'm right. Yeah, yeah. So unlucky, but it's all right. Uh, what for the A League? What is? Do you think maybe we do need some more creators who maybe focus predominantly on the A League, or maybe the A League can start to, like you said, take a chance on younger creators and start to tap in? I know Melbourne Victory. I know there's a podcast, Melbourne Victory, like for Vuk's sake or something like that, and they've started incorporating them a bit with the transfer signings and all. And it was a lot of people were saying, okay, cool, maybe this might be is this first sort of time where they're acknowledging people on social media who started like how we did as well. Like I'm in my bedroom now making videos. Is that something a pathway you think they can take the A League to grow as a whole?
do it, it has to be. It's not an accident as to why the Premier League and all these other leagues are cool, because yes, they're great football, but they're on at stupid o'clock in the morning. The thing is, if you flick on your phone and you go, or you open Instagram or whatever it is that you use, you open TikTok, you're getting the content of the players, the clubs. They understand that they have to appear on Sky Sports on TV, but they also need to appear here to speak to a different audience. And I think the A League is learning that, and there are a lot of changes happening in the A League and W League, which is great.
Yeah.
But what they need to realize is, you said before about flicking on the TV, watching the A League and seeing a lot of ex players or a lot of people much older than you that you might not even know who they played for, because maybe they played before you were even born. Those guys are very important because they speak to an audience. They might speak to, they'd speak to my dad, for example, and he would
Yeah.
love seeing those guys on TV. But just as important as them, it's important to also have young creators who love the game, who live and breathe it, and can speak to other young people and get teenagers interested in the A League. Create TikTok videos, create YouTube videos, go to games and do match day experiences. Because let's be real, I love the Premier League too. But as much as you can love European football, the A League is here in your backyard. You can go to the games, you can enjoy it, you can really feel live football. So there's a bit of a disconnect here. Football, I was on a webinar this morning for Sport Bible, and they had a stat that they brought up that between 18 and 34, football has more fans than AFL and NRL, and that's their study that they've done around. It is the biggest sport in that age bracket. So why aren't they at the A League games? Because they might love football, but they might not love the A League, and that's the biggest job. That's the connection that they have to try and build now.
Well, I totally agree with everything you said. Like I've been coaching at my club for this is my 6th year now, and you can see every year when I first started, the little kids, the little 6 and 7s, there was probably like 20 kids. Now we've got hundreds and all that sort of stuff. So it is, like you said, it is growing. It's a huge thing. But you go look at a Melbourne City game. Go look. I'm a Victory fan. You go look at a Victory game. Victory are still able to pull in numbers, but a lot of it also depends on results. Whereas Victory, at one point, we could be just outside the finals, still be getting decent fans in. Whereas now, I mean, like COVID, like you said, has ruined a lot of that. But I personally didn't watch that many Victory games this season, just because I felt like I didn't have a connection to any of the players. There was no one that I've really go, if we're going to lose, I want to see at least him do well. There was sort of none of that, which a couple of years ago, I know my mates who all sort of played footy and stuff, massive Melbourne City fans. They went to the games a lot of the times. They found that connection, but then all of a sudden, sort of just died down a bit. So, hopefully, I guess for your sake and my sake in a way as well, it can all start to pick up. It definitely help you guys, probably help myself as well. So, hopefully, the LA can, like you said, sort of break into that fold and connecting more to others, and which I slowly think they could be doing, but hopefully that can be something that happens. So spoke about the A League, spoke a bit about yourself and what you're doing. Now the Premier League. This is going to depend. This will decide whether I cancel this Zoom call early. I made my Premier League prediction. I did a Premier League prediction video yesterday. I'm a Man United fan. I don't know if you're an AFL fan at all. Man United fans remind me of Collingwood fans. I don't go for Collingwood, but no one likes it. I personally said Man United's got to win the league. I want to get your top six, and then I'll give you my top six. Give you a bit of time to think. I've got Man United first, City second, Chelsea third, Liverpool fourth, Leicester fifth, and I had Leeds in sixth.
You know what? I like your top six. I like that you put Leeds in there because I agree with that. I think Leeds are destined for a huge season. I would even put him a touch higher. I've been saying some controversial calls around the office recently, so I'll stick with that. United champions. Just a lot of those players, they just don't convince me. They don't. Look, adding Varane is an interesting acquisition at the back. Maguire's, as much as I'm not a huge fan, there's no doubt he's an effective defender. Goalkeeping situation for me is unresolved at United. Yeah. I don't know if they know who their best goalkeeper is. Midfield is a bit unresolved because Pogba's still up in the air. Up front, yeah, you've got Cavani, who is the title-winning striker at Man United.
Say that. Oh, okay. I do agree with everything. And I watched the I think Sky Sports today, like they do that fan debate with Gary Neville. I think Roy Keane was on it, Carragher. And Roy Keane starts going, we talk about the likes of City, United, Chelsea. They've all got their goalkeeper situation fine. Yeah, we'll touch on Chelsea later. They just subbed on Kepa. Kepa made the save. They won another trophy. I still feel like United, I like it's exactly what you said. I feel like United have got no idea who their goalkeeper is. I think the year after Henderson came back, so last season, when he came back from Sheffield, I think that was probably his year to come in. He got a bit of an opportunity. And then I think now most United fans are a bit hesitant on him. I know I personally am. I definitely had him higher like last year than what I do now. So I do agree with that. The striker position as well. I personally would love to see Greenwood playing through the middle because I think, and there was comparisons of him and Van Persie. I think Greenwood's got to be a machine, but no Rashford for a couple months. I think until maybe November or the end of the year. Has had surgery. No Rashford opens up that left wing spot. Cavani apparently is in isolation as well. So that striker position on the weekend, and I think Martial is. I wish I could put it nice. I think he's dust. I think he's gone. So I think my biggest thing is, and I know the whole thing for United was Sancho, bringing in Sancho. I'm more excited to see Varane, and I've spoken to a couple of my mates about it as well. I think Varane will have that same effect as maybe a Thiago Silva, like at Chelsea, where ability-wise, maybe he's not lining up the world. His Euros campaign wasn't that convincing, but to have Lindelof, replacing Lindelof with Varane. You give me those two, I know who I want. So you've obviously got a winner in there, World Cup winner, Champions League winner, La Liga winner. So then Luke Shaw is in his career best form. Wan-Bissaka, I think defensively is solid. So I think it should hopefully have that ripple effect to maybe even let Pogba have a bit more confidence when he is going forward, as opposed to looking behind him and seeing a less confident Maguire and a shaky Victor Lindelof in defence. So I don't know. Like I said, part of me is expecting us to lose to Leeds tomorrow night and then just drop me back to ground. But I got to be a little bit excited.
You got to be excited. You got to always hope the best. As for my predictions, I do think Chelsea's going to win the league. For me, it's I see United in an interesting spot. I see United maybe where Liverpool were a few years ago, where Chelsea was last year. I think you guys are it's becoming, England's a strange one because it's almost becoming easier to go far in the Champions League than it is to win the league over 38 weeks. Yes. So I see United as that type of team. I think you've added players with so much European experience that, like Cavani's another one. Cavani might not play every game this season, but in a Champions League game, away at Atletico Madrid or away at the Bernabeu, Cavani will score and Varane will play well too. So I could see you guys having a good European season. I don't think the quality is there over 38 weeks. Yeah. And I also don't think that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the man to win the league at Man United. I see very similar to maybe what Frank Lampard was at Chelsea, that he's doing his job, but he's just setting it up for someone, be it a Mauricio Pochettino, I don't know who it might be, to come in and then succeed with that Man United squad. That's what I think.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, unfortunately, I can't disagree with you. So I do agree. I think, and I'm not the biggest fan of. Like, I would have taken Pochettino when he was free any day of the week, no matter the results Ole was getting. I'd say give me Pochettino. But and I think what you said about Cavani, he's probably a perfect 6-game season player. Like in that Champions League group stage, as you said, if you were to play a 6-game season, he's someone who could give you results, could give you goals as well. So you mentioned Chelsea. I think Thomas Tuchel is probably the most underrated figure of that Chelsea team. You've obviously signed the likes of Lukaku just now, which I do want to hear your thoughts of. Lukaku, but and then we'll get to Tuchel. Lukaku, do you like that signing? Is he got to fit with the likes of Werner?
Lukaku is interesting because I watch a lot of Serie A. So Lukaku works very well in Conte's system, which is incredibly similar to Tuchel's system. So in a way, if we are playing with that wing back system and a little bit counter attacking against big teams, it might suit Lukaku very well. I think Werner may be used as a winger when we want to play that counter-attacking
Yeah,
football. Let's say we're in the champ, or let's say actually we're in the league and we're playing Man City and we know they're going to have a lot of possession. He might go for Lukaku Werner up top and just know that when we break, we're going to break with so much speed. So I'm very excited to see Lukaku. I think he seems quite pumped up. I don't think there's any hard feelings between the club and Lukaku. From everything that I've seen in the media and all his words, it sounds very positive. So I'm pretty confident about it. And to be honest, when I look at like some of the signings, no disrespect, but when I look at Jadon Sancho, when I look at Jack Grealish, when I look at these players who they're good players, but I think United and City already had players that good in their squad.
yeah,
Whereas Lukaku fills a hole that Chelsea didn't have, which was a big lad up top that can score goals.
yeah.
So I think transfer wise, I think Chelsea have done a great job.
All right. Well, I mean, we spoke about United's striker position. We did have him. I personally wouldn't take him now, but for United, I think like you said about Chelsea and something I spoke about recently as well. He was when he was at Inter Milan, it was all full of praise. He's perfect for La Liga. Conte, as you said, his system worked so well for him, and he's fortunate enough that he's come back. If he came back in the Lampard time, I'd probably have no confidence in it. But now, like you said, he's come back in Tuchel when you guys can adjust to play a sort of similar formation with the wing backs. So I think Lukaku should do all right. I personally aren't as convinced as what some other people might be on it, but I think it could be my bit of a you better not do well at Chelsea when you're terrible at United. So it could be fair. Could be fair. Now you obviously don't have City to win the league. I didn't have City to win the league. Part of me does. Part of me believes United or Chelsea will win it if City don't. If that makes sense. What is your reason? They've obviously just signed Jack Grealish. They haven't really lost anyone. Surely City win it comfortably.
He would have, even though I absolutely love Chelsea, I would have been hesitant to put them ahead of City if they signed Kane, which could still happen.
Yeah,
I think that's what they need. I can't see City going another 38 games without a proper nine. And no disrespect to Gabby Jesus, but I don't think the false nine De Bruyne, the false nine Gundogan, I don't think that can hold 38 weeks. And also, I don't think that club's main aim is the Premier League anymore. As weird as that sounds, I really
yeah,
think they're pushing for Champions League. And I don't know, man. I just don't. Nothing about him excites me. For me now, Grealish, great player. I don't think Grealish is better than Bernardo Silva, who I'm hearing is probably going to leave the club. I'm a
yeah,
huge Bernardo Silva fan,
yeah.
and I think it's a little bit of English hype. I like Grealish, but I think it's a little bit of English hype.
Nah, I do. I
And
agree. Yeah,
and yeah, I don't know. I think if the squad stays as is a good chance that Chelsea or your boys United might be able. I mean, we're not even talking about Liverpool. That one of these squads might be able to pip them. But if they pick up Kane in that number 9
yeah,
position, then I think they might go all the way
yeah.
and top it.
No, I agree. And like to add on to what you said, like Grealish, they've almost got 3, 4 Jack Grealishes already in that team. You look at Mahrez, as you said, Bernardo Silva, even Sterling. And I do kind of feel for Sterling because he's got that. There's this whole agenda that he's a terrible player. He was probably one of the better players at the Euros. Like, matter of fact, maybe got them to the final when Harry Kane didn't really turn up that tournament, in my opinion. So, like, I agree. I think if Harry Kane goes, I agree. I think it's probably done. I think that's it. But I also don't really think he's gone. I think if he were to go, I think it would have been done by now, especially heading in towards the season. So we spoke about the top six. I think we can agree anyone's fight. I think the top 4. Oh, yes, no?
Yeah. I was gonna say I've been saying some controversial opinions around here that I think Leeds or Leicester, but I'm gonna go Leeds might sneak a spot at 4th.
I'll clip this for the end of the season.
Yeah, definitely kick this one. They could end up relegated and I look like an idiot. But I don't have super confidence unless they add something more. I don't have a lot of confidence in Liverpool, and I think they could slip out of the 4.
Thank you, Claude. Claude, you're talking to me. Thank you. Thank you.
To answer your top 6 question, I'm going to go Chelsea, City, United, Leeds, Liverpool, Leicester.
Leeds in our 4th. Wow. I don't know what to say. You stumped me a bit. I can't lie. It's good, but I do also agree. I also think that Liverpool. I think now is the perfect. If I was a Liverpool fan, I'd almost be happy going into this season. Not maybe on the basis of their signings and their team, in the sense of I think people have lost all hope in them. So it could almost be that sort of get stuffed season, to put in a not nice way, where they could ultimately end up winning the league and turn around to everyone's face and say, "Look what we just did." I pray that doesn't happen, but I do agree. I think out of that Villa, I think West Ham this season will have a good season because of Europa League and their squad depth and stuff. I think out of that whole, and Everton, that whole bunch, I think Leeds probably be my team to watch. And a Saturday night 9:30 kickoff here, United versus Leeds. Cannot wait. Should be good. Should be good. Now we'll quickly touch on. We've touched on the top 6, 3 relegated teams. Who have you got?
Yes. Actually, I also want to add maybe take Leicester out of that. I actually think Arsenal might be pushing for the 4 until the very end. I think the people aren't talking about them, but no European football. I do rate their team. Okay, relegation. I've got the table here, actually. Like, I've got the teams here, and relegation's tough. I think it's time. I think it's about time Burnley fight for relegation. I'm not like, I like Burnley. I do. And Turf Moor's a tough place to play, but I just think they're getting a little bit outdated the way they play. I think it could be the year that they go down. No one's showing any confidence in Watford, and neither am I. I think Watford might go back down. Watford, Burnley, and especially with the news that Ings has left as well, I think Southampton might be in big trouble. So I might go Watford, Burnley, Southampton.
Yeah, well, I've got 2 of the 3. I do think Southampton also just about to lose Vestergaard, centre back to Leicester, and to lose key figure down back, key figure up front, with not that much talent in between, besides a Ward-Prowse, who supposedly could almost be on his way out as well to a Tottenham or a Villa. I think Southampton will just maybe make it, but finishing the one above relegation. I've got the same with Watford. Burnley, I also agree. I think they were probably lucky not to get relegated last season. I think it's probably their end. And I've also added Norwich in, just because they just never, even when they first came up, I know they didn't win the championship, they finished first. There's nothing there that just makes me go, okay, maybe they could. You know, Brentford have that Ivan Toney, who we know can score goals. They've got the likes of Mbuemo, stuff like that. Nothing about Norwich just makes me go, you know what, maybe you can stay up. They've obviously lost Buendia as well, who was a key player last season for them. So I've got Norwich finishing rock bottom.
Timu Pukki not scoring enough goals?
Nah, the Pukki party's around for a month. That's about it.
Yeah, could be. I'm a fan of Todd Cantwell.
Yeah,
I think he's carrying a bit of an injury early on, but if he gets to play, I'm a huge fan of his. I think he's you just don't know what you're getting. He's a cool cat on and off the park. I like him.
Yeah.
I hope Norwich do okay. But yeah, you're right. They're just one of those teams. They're just a bit of a yo-yo. They come up.
Fortunately for their sake, like you said, fortunately for their sake, I think they are going to be a team that's up 1 year, down 2, up 2, down 1. And then to sort of wrap it off, the Premier League predictions and all that sort of stuff, I want you to give me your player of the year and golden boot. I think the golden boot could be a tricky one this season.
Very tough. Well, going off the fact that I think, well, if I vote Chelsea to win the league, then the player of the year probably, not always, but probably could come from Chelsea. And golden boot. Kane's won it a couple of years in a row.
Yeah.
Since Salah's huge season.
Salah, yeah.
Oh, tough. Okay. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go different here as well, because I'm going to bank on the fact that Leeds have an incredible season. If Leeds do well, it's because they scored a lot of goals, because Bielsa's not a defensive manager. So I'm going to go top goal scorer Patrick Bamford.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Golden Boot Bamford, I think you'll have a 25 goal season, something like that, 24, 25. Top scorer Bamford, and player of the year, considering Chelsea win the league. Watching the Super Cup the other day, I'm going to go, if he's fit, 38 games, and N'Golo Kante, player of the year.
Yeah. So no, Lukaku for Golden Boot? No.
Yeah, I just see Chelsea as a team that's going to share the goals around.
Yeah.
And he'll be influential, but I don't know if he's going to score that many goals. Whereas I think Bamford is primed to score a lot.
Yeah. No, I don't want to. I think Salah could almost be there, up in the top goal scorer again. I think Bamford was the first player I put in my fantasy team. I think I got high hopes for Leeds this year, as obviously you do too. So, but I think either one of them could go to them. But ultimately, I mean, you look at the top six, and the only real proper goal scorer in that team is a Patrick Bamford. You know, like we spoke about United's striker, we spoke about City's lack of strikers. Even Liverpool, Jota, Firmino, I personally don't think they can win it. I think Salah's the best chance. So I think Bamford, or personally for me, I think Salah, just because he's Mo Salah. Really, I don't want to admit it, but he's a good player.
He knows how to put the ball in the net.
Yeah, that's it. And player of the year. And unfortunately, because I did, like you said, I did pick Man United to win the league. I think it goes to one player, Bruno Fernandes.
Bruno, yeah. Well, he's been tops for you guys. So yeah, I think if you were to win the league, yeah, you'd probably get it, won't he?
That's it. And I'm also, and again, I gotta not let my mate. I like to think I'm a fair fan. But I think if United, and it could sound a bit, of course, but I think if United do well this season and push for the title for most of the season, and maybe not win it, I think a lot of that comes down to Paul Pogba as well. Could be almost a late coming of age season for Paul Pogba. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
I think United fans been saying that for a few years now.
No.
Yeah, hopefully for your sake, but I'd keep this clip just in case.
Oh, thanks. Sorry. Awesome. Well, if there's anything else you want to touch on, I know we've covered a lot of areas. I've taken a bit more of your time than what I kind of maybe told you, but to wrap it up, what's next for you? Where do you see even your business, as you mentioned before, where do you see that going, even with your own shows?
Well, yeah, we're episode 2 of my show on Being, the early kickoff, is up tonight. So that's going to be a long season, and I guess there's a lot of eyeballs now because La Liga, Bundesliga, all that's kicking off this week. But also Messi's gone to Paris, so everyone's going to be tuning in to see PSG's games in the league, to see how he goes. So it's quite exciting. But at the same time, I don't know, because it's such an ever-changing space. I now am putting a lot of effort and emphasis on trying to find more creators and invite creators in. It's hard now with lockdown here in Sydney, but hopefully when lockdown lifts, I want to get more people that have podcasts or that have shows and get them all in here at our studios to create some content and see how we can collaborate and create more than just shows for broadcasters, but maybe shows that we own ourselves and podcasts and all the rest, all different types of content. So I just kind of want to now give the next few months to just finding those people, collaborating, chatting, and seeing what we can create.
Yeah, too easy. Sounds good. Well, thank you for the time. I've had a ball. It's been awesome. Hopefully everyone's good. If you did enjoy, make sure to like, subscribe. Check out Claudes. I'll leave his Instagram and all that stuff in the description. Also tune to Be in Sports. I just went downstairs and actually did just record the show because Richmond's playing tonight, so I'm going to watch that, but I'll watch it after. So it's all good fun. Make sure to stick around for Fruity's Fantasy. Thank you, Claudes, once again for joining me. Awesome fun. And sweet, stick around Fruity's Fantasy. I'll show you my Game Week 1 team review. It's good. You want to see it. It's very good. Thanks.